Thank you so much for having me here today. So I've been asked to speak about a local initiative that we've been doing that's on the ground in the Greater Moncton area, so in New Brunswick, and I'm just going to share a little bit with you today, and it certainly falls in line with what our other presenters were speaking about this morning. So first I'm going to overview New Brunswick demographic challenges that we hear a lot about, and then I'm going to touch on our immigration strategy that we have in the Greater Moncton area. And then I'm going to get into what we're doing locally that's helping to bridge the gap between local employers and newcomers and international students that are looking for employment in our area. So like many of you here, New Brunswick obviously has some challenges when it comes to demographics. Actually, this year was the first year where we had more deaths than births. So obviously our province and our municipality, so I work with the City of Moncton, is working very hard to keep our population and our economic growth going in the province. So New Brunswick's population actually only represents about 2.1% of the national population. So our population hovers around 750,000 people, and I believe in Toronto there's 8 million, am I right? So just picture maybe this area here is New Brunswick. We also have low fertility rates, so about 1.54 children per woman, as well as a lot of out-migration of our youth. So this is resulting in our province aging a lot quicker than we hope. And our median age has actually gone from the age of 25 in 1974 to 44.8 years old in 2015. And this is actually the second highest median age in the country. In terms of unemployment rates, it's also very interesting to look at New Brunswick compared to the rest of Canada and then looking at Moncton's. So in Canada, the unemployment rate in October 2015 hovered around 7%. In New Brunswick, overall unemployment rate 9%, but yet in Moncton, our unemployment rate is actually very low. So we have about 6% unemployment rate. And this actually provides a lot of opportunities for newcomers and international students looking for employment. So we see this as actually a benefit for our community. Moncton, just to give you a little history on the area, we were ranked by KPMG as the lowest cost city in Canada and US to do business. And we actually have a lot of population growth in Moncton in comparison to the rest of the province. So our population is actually increasing in the Greater Moncton area by about 2,000 people per year. And the interesting part is about half of this amount is coming from immigration. So in 2014, we saw around 860 immigrants settling in our area. And so this is actually very positive. One of the reasons for our economic and population growth is because we have a wide variety of key sectors. So we don't just rely on one sector. We have a lot of different sectors that help boost our economy. So I have them listed there. And that's very important for us in terms of our population growth in our community. So in terms of immigration, however, and our population growth, Greater Moncton solid growth has been also been enabled, though, from attracting talent from across New Brunswick, but studies have shown that this is actually plateaued, and we need to start relying much more on immigration. Also, our population in Greater Moncton is also aging. And so we realize that, we have to rely on immigration as a lot more than just filling the gap of our labor market, but literally as how we're going to continue to grow as a municipality and as a community in Canada. So in response to this aging population and also the increase in immigration in our community, the City of Moncton and our sister cities realized that this was something that we needed to address. So in 2013, the City of Moncton held the Immigration Summit. So we had about 200 people in attendance representing the business community, immigrants, settlement agencies, as well as post-secondary institutions. And following the Immigration Summit, we also, consultants also met with key stakeholders in business community. And everyone had highlighted that we wanted to continue to be the economic and population growth engine for the province. However, we needed a more strategic and coordinated approach to be able to do this. And it's really by working in partnership with our community agencies and with our economic development agencies that we can really continue this growth. So in 2014, our City Council actually adopted the Greater Moncton Immigration Strategy, and within it there's 18 key objectives. And really aligning our labor market needs with newcomers in our community and international students is key in this. What we really hear from employers, due to the low unemployment rate in New Brunswick, and particularly in Moncton, employers that we're meeting with are expressing that they're having a challenge fulfilling their workforce needs. And on the other end, working with settlement agencies and with newcomers, obviously there's a lot of barriers for accessing employment. So what we want to do as a community is literally bridge those two concerns and make it so there's more opportunities for people to meet face-to-face with employers in Greater Moncton. So basically, this created essentially a case to provide opportunities for newcomers to meet employers and to provide employers with access to top international talent from our local community. So our motto is very much recruit locally, regionally, nationally, and then internationally. And we have a wide variety of newcomers and international students in our community that are looking for employment right now. And really, retention is a key component of this. So it's retaining our businesses. So if we don't support local employers, they're going to leave. And if we don't support newcomers, they're going to leave. So we really need them to stay in our community, and we believe that it's really by working in collaboration that we can help achieve this. So essentially, we came up with the idea of creating sector-specific employment fairs, which is essentially a one-stop shop for employment opportunities in key sectors. So rather than just focusing on a large employment fair, for instance, in a room like this, we wanted to focus on smaller, sector-specific employment fairs so that the newcomers and international students that were attending knew the sector that they were attending and that they were briefed prior. So what we did was we created a working group composed of key partners. So anything we would do with the city is not done alone. We do it with all of our community stakeholders. So we had settlement agencies, employment agencies, our sister municipalities, economic development agencies, the Chamber of Commerce, the province, and also our post-secondary institutions. International students is a big component of our community. We have over 1,200 international students, and we want to also keep them in our community as well. So engaging with the post-secondary institutions is also key. So the first three sectors that we decided to choose based on needs was the trucking, information technology, animation, ICT, and contact centers. So in terms of implementing a project like this, like I said, partnership is key. So actually I have two of my major partners in the room right now, Jean-Pierre Alexandre from Magma and Sadik from CAFI, if you don't mind just standing up. They were key in making this event a success. So if you want to hear what the settlement agencies did to help ready the job seekers, you could speak directly with them. So we as a group identified those key sectors, and I work in economic development, so we go out and meet regularly with local employers. So we were able to identify the key sectors that needed our help the most. And then within each of these sectors, we also identified a champion. So for instance, when you look at trucking, that's a major industry in Greater Moncton. And we worked with the Atlantic Trucking Association, and they were our guest speaker. And they also helped identify the employers that were seeking employment, job seekers, and then they also identified the key contacts. So that's very, very important. So you're not just reaching out to an info number or an admin staff. You're actually reaching out to their recruiter or to their CEO, which is also key. From the employer side of things, so identifying like that champion, like I said, dropping names is very good, but also utilizing federal resources. So the federal government, for instance, Canada Business, can really provide a comprehensive list of local employers. So what we did was we got them to provide a list based on those key sectors, and thus as a working group, we sat down and identified who in the room had the best relationship to reach out. And then based on that relationship, it was that person that reached out to that employer. So for instance, being with the municipality, we focused on only employers in Moncton and the ones that we had good relationships with. We also used Chamber of Commerce as well as the province and even the settlement agencies based on their contacts. They would reach out to those employers. Another big success for this was collecting key data. So when the employers did confirm their attendance, we did get them to fill out an employer contact form. And on this form, we asked them to identify status. So are they looking for a permanent resident, Canadian citizen, or work permit? We also asked them to identify language requirements. Moncton is a bilingual city. A lot of employers need actual bilingual workforce or English or French, and that's very important. And we also asked them to identify the employment opportunities and the language requirements, as well as the amount of positions. So at any one of these employment fairs, we would have over 300 positions available, which was amazing information to learn. So this information was shared with job seekers. So the settlement agencies helped prep the job seekers prior to coming to the employment fair, as well as the post-secondary institutions prep their international students. So the students didn't necessarily, and the newcomers didn't necessarily waste their time talking with employers that required Canadian citizens, for instance. So a lot of information was learned from that employer grid, and that was as a recommendation from our post-secondary institutions and settlement agencies. So in terms of preparation of job seekers, the settlement agencies and employment agencies worked hard on that. Things like resume development, workshops, for instance, what is a job fair, and how do you use that to network, as well as bringing groups of ready job seekers and advertising employment opportunities ahead of time so people knew what to expect when they entered the job fair. Logistics is really important. So employers want to hire, but don't necessarily want to spend a long time in a job fair. So 2 hours is the maximum. We made sure that there was no cost to employers. So we didn't want there to be any barriers. The municipality feels very strongly that we need to support our employers and support our newcomers. So we made sure that we absorbed that cost. Location was key. Holding an event like in a job fair in a large conference room like this can be very cold. We actually chose to use a downtown location in the upstairs of a theater, which is essentially a reception area. Quite dark and quaint, but it made it so you had a lot of opportunities to connect because people were so close. So I think logistics is also very much key. And at the starting of our job fair, we actually had a guest speaker and a newcomer success story. So the guest speaker was often the champion from those key sectors, and then we actually reached out to the different businesses and asked them to identify someone that works within their business that could speak to their experience. And it's not necessarily the CEO or the VP, but someone who's really on the ground, where their skills actually transferred to that line of work. And that was also very successful as well. So the results over the summertime for those job fairs, we had 3 employment fairs over 3 weeks. We had 30 employers and educational institutions in the room. So if the newcomers didn't necessarily have the skills and expertise, the educational institutions were present to be able to fulfill those if they wanted to go back to school. We actually had 10 hires, and the best part is within their field of expertise. So particularly the IT fair was very successful, so that was a great success. We also got very good feedback from employers. So we actually held another series of employment fairs 2 weeks ago, and we chose 3 new sectors. So health and wellness, manufacturing, distribution and warehousing, customer service and hospitality. Same thing, we had about 30 employment companies, and we actually to date have over 10 hires. So I'm excited to hear in about a month's time we'll be following up with all these employers, and I think we're probably going to double if not triple the amount of employment opportunities that were gained as a result of these employment fairs. So the benefits for newcomers and international students, so first off, for our settlement agencies, these are all leads for them for the future. And one of the benefits for them is they're able to network in the room and to really learn and to build those relationships. For newcomers, they get to meet face-to-face with recruiters. They get to build their networks. They learn about market and educational opportunities. And newcomers access employment within their field of expertise. For employers, equally, employers recruit top talent from the local community. They really get to learn about all the skills and expertise that are on the ground. Companies are showcased as employers of choice, and employers feel supported and heard, which is also very, very important. Other benefits is that it really helped to change the narrative around employment in New Brunswick. So one of the things that gets me the most is the have-not province. We are 15 minutes away from the beach, so keep this in mind. So it's actually a great place to be, and in Moncton we have a wide variety of employment opportunities, but really we want to line up the available employment opportunities with the talent that exists locally, and that is key for us. It's not just about attracting people, it's about keeping them in New Brunswick. So in terms of retention for employers and newcomers, it really allowed us to create an action-oriented, proactive approach to supporting local employers and newcomers, and essentially just providing hope to people, for people to really know that there are employment opportunities. And if they don't necessarily have those skills and expertise off the bat, they can certainly work towards those. So that's really what our overall goal was. You know, a strategy is really only as good as the actions you put in place, and for us it's really by working in partnership that we're really able to act on that. So you can see here, this is the poster from our employment fairs. You can see all the partners listed on the bottom. So partnership, like I said, is key, and that's my Twitter handle. It's shameless self-promotion, but you can also follow me on Twitter to learn about other activities happening in our area. And I'm also looking forward to learning from all of you about your successes. Thank you.